Oh my god. Hi. This is terrifying. I am scared. And oh my god, there's 9 people here. That's like, whew. Well, hey, this is my Q&A video. And oh my god, hi Emily. And yeah, I was terrified that nobody would turn up, but here you all are. So essentially, I'm here to celebrate 2.5k. I didn't want to do anything for 2k. 2k was kind of for me, and I got a camera. Hi Rachel, thank you for coming. I bought myself a camera, and then for 2.5k, I thought I would like do something special, and I thought I would do my very own live stream because I want to introduce live streams and sort of participation and stuff into my channel next year. So this is kind of like a test. Thank you, Dora, because yeah, I'm terrified. So we're just gonna like answer some questions that you guys have asked me, and yeah, this is strange. I've only ever done one live show before, and that was with other people. So I kind of had like other people to bounce off. So if you guys want to talk to me in the chat, then that would be really helpful. But hi. We're just gonna start some questions to start some conversational topics. So my first, sorry, my laptop's over here, which is why I'm looking over here. Thanks, Ryan. Ryan has been like my main supporter in this when I've been terrified. Thanks, Leah. So I'll get my first questions from the community post that I put on YouTube. So Najwa Najwa asked who is my favorite Canadian. Books and Lala. No, I'm just joking, Najwa, you know that it's you. And then Ryan asked who my best friend is, and it's my dog once again. He's just trolling me. Ryan, you know that you're my best friend. Thank you for putting that question in there. Yeah, I know, Leah. I saw them this morning and I was like, great. So we'll kick the live show off with people just wanting me to tell them how great they are. But honestly, like, you are both great. And thank you for asking me questions. So next we have Leah's question. And Leah's question is, who is my number one book boyfriend? And I think, okay, so this depends on what I'm reading at the minute, but you guys all know that I'm mass trash. And I know in my heart that my number one book boyfriend is Resand and will always be Resand because, hey, hi, I'm me. If you don't know, I love Sarah J. Maas. And my number one book boyfriend will always be Resand. However, I am reading Throne of Glass at the moment, and Lorcan. Lorcan also gets me. I do love Lorcan. So he's a close second. At the minute, I favour him more because I'm reading Kingdom of Ash. But yeah, Resand is my number one. Oh, Will Herringdale. I prefer Jace. I haven't reread the Mortal Instruments, but when I did read them, I did prefer Jace. So yeah, Will. I do like Will, but not so much. So in the chat, somebody just asked me, oh, don't get fired. Please don't get fired for me. I mean, I watch YouTube at work, but I'm like quite fortunate in that my job kind of most of the time occupies my hands and not my brain. So I like listen to BookTube, and that's pretty much the only time that I watch BookTube because I just retain the information better when I'm doing something else. But yeah, she asked, where am I from? I am from the UK. If any of you are familiar with the UK, I'm from Lancashire, near Manchester. And then I went to uni in Huddersfield, so I lived there for a little while. And now I live not far away from Hull. So, which, like, that's in Yorkshire. So I moved from, like, the west of England to the east of England. Ideally, I would like to go back and live near Manchester again, but, like, that's a future problem. My only problem with here is that there's kind of, like, it's in the middle of nowhere and there's not a lot going on. Oh, Rachel said that once again she loves me. I love you too, Rach. Thank you for joining me, even though you're busy with your family. I can't believe there's 13 people here. Like, I was panicking no one would come, especially because I really messed up doing this. So if you don't know about me, I love to plan and stuff, but when it comes to, I like planning things, but when it comes to preparing things, like the things you need to do to prepare for something, I leave it to the last minute and I'm kind of like, oh, it'll be okay. So I set up this event like earlier in the day, and I was like, oh, I'll figure out how to connect a camera and stuff later. And then I really just could not figure out how to do it. And so I deleted the event many times. Somebody might have seen that not long ago. I went live for 6 seconds accidentally and had to delete the event again and start a new one. So that whole thing was a train wreck. But I'm here. I made it here eventually. But yeah, I've spent the last hour like panicking because I thought that it would be a simple task, but apparently not. And so we'll get another question, shall we? So Kerry the Book Bell, I know she's asked me some questions on the community post that I did and also on Twitter. Hi, Tabby. But these are the ones from the community question. And she asked my dream vacation spot. So I really like visiting the US because the US is essentially like the UK, but everything is bigger and better and has more variety. So my dream vacation spots at the minute, I'm probably going to go back to New York or Florida next year. But like my top three that I want to visit is Hawaii, Los Angeles, and oh, where else do I want to go? Like somewhere like Bali or Australia. Two completely different places, but like somewhere over that way because I tend to go to the US or to Europe and I've never been like far over to like Australia or New Zealand or anything. Somebody just asked me what camera I bought. I bought the Canon PowerShot G7X Mark II, the like go-to vlogging camera. I bought that one. I didn't pay full price for it because I ain't got that kind of money. I got it off eBay from like a photographer who has multiple cameras and then just didn't need that one. And it's actually really good. And fun fact, yesterday I found out how to actually film manually because I've been filming in auto and it wasn't going well. If you've watched my own haul from today, you'll know that my lighting is bad. So then I also bought a ring light today to try and fix that because just nothing was really going very well for me. But I think I had another question that I've just missed. Oh, Dora asked my thoughts on Doctor Who. Okay, so I've watched Chris, what was his name? The first of the new Doctor Who's. I watched all of his. I've watched David Tennant and I've watched Matt Smith. And then I gave up somewhere in Peter Capaldi and I haven't watched the new ones because I'd like to watch them all. My favourite Doctor is Alex Smith. My favourite companion is Amy. And that whole thing is like it really gets me in the feels. And also anything to do with River Song. I'd like somebody to make some sort of like episode playlist that like chronicles the whole like River Song situation so I can just watch those, because with Doctor Who being like all time travel and it jumping around between timelines, I just want to see like the full story altogether. I'm waving my hands around a lot, but yeah, those are my thoughts on Doctor Who. So Kerry also asked what my zodiac sign is. I'm a Taurus and it shows. I'm clumsy, I'm very protective, and I'm very loyal. And I'm not aggressive, but I'm very like passionate. And if I don't think that people are treating other people fairly and other people just don't want to get into that kind of conflict, then I will speak up and tell people if they're being horrible. Can I be argumentative? I wouldn't say I'm argumentative. I'm just not afraid to say things that people don't want to hear. So I'm very much a Taurus, and it very much shows. Dora just said that she tried watching the Doctor Who like River timeline. How did that work? Like, does it make sense, or is it just a train wreck? Because obviously, like, there's different doctors and different narratives, and they probably don't mesh well together. So Kerry also asked me, and she asked me this on Twitter as well. NSYNC or Backstreet Boys? And guys, I have to say neither. So I love a good boy band. But around the time that NSYNC and Backstreet Boys were like a thing, I actually really liked Westlife, which this I don't know, in the US were Westlife ever famous? Was that a thing? They're like an Irish boy band that were around at the same time, kind of like Boyzone as well. I've lost my drink. And yeah, I just preferred those. And then I also like Spice Girls, not a boy band. And then when I was a little bit older, I was hardcore into Busted, and I'm not gonna lie, I still am. Yes, Tabby, Spice Girls, I was obsessed with. I remember when I was a kid, when we went to the shop for like penny sweets, so like sweets that cost 1p or 2p, they had little bubble gums that were 5p, and they had Spice Girl stickers inside the wrapper, and I used to like put them all over my wall. I didn't get tickets to the tour because I they were expensive, and it's an arena tour, and I went to see Ed Sheeran at an arena, and it was kind of like, it's kind of pointless because you're so far away. We weren't even like right at the back, but you're so far away that you might as well just be watching something on TV, like a festival on TV. So I didn't get tickets to Spice Girls. Tabby, you have a Barbie. I don't think I ever had a Spice Girls Barbie, and I'm really jealous because I used to love Barbie. Although I was one of those kids where like I'd get the really fancy like Barbie doll houses, and then I'd get my dad to set them up for me and build them and put them all together, and then I would just play with the box, kind of look at the toy once and be like, cool, and then never play with it again. But I was also an only child, so I had no one to play with ever, which is how I ended up reading because nobody would play with me, essentially. So the wonderful Rachel from Rachel Marie Book Junkie. I'm actually going to drink some of this now. If you just give me a sec. So Rachel asked me what my favorite ice cream is. I don't eat a lot of ice cream. I only eat it very occasionally. My favorite like normal flavor is strawberry. And then like if you're talking about more adventurous flavors, then rum and raisin. And if we're talking like Ben and Jerry's, then either cookie dough or half baked. Hi Hannah. Oh, thank you so much. Please don't stay up on my account. Like if you need to get some sleep, then please get some sleep. But thank you for popping in and saying hi. Oh my god, Tabby. Do I believe that aliens exist? So, do I believe that aliens exist? I don't not believe that they exist. Like, I accept that aliens may be out there, but I don't like really think about it. And my sort of feelings on things like aliens is I don't understand why people truly believe that aliens exist, but don't believe that dragons or unicorns or mermaids or anything can exist, because we have no proof of any of those things. So why should we believe one over the other? So I don't not believe in aliens, but I don't really get into it. I think I've mentioned somewhere before that my boss at work is really into like flat earth theory, and he thinks that the earth is flat. So I get that at work all the time. Like all these insane theories that when you go like real far north up to the North Pole, there's more land, but there's a wall and you can't go past it. He comes out with like all sorts of stuff, and that if the world was round, then you'd be able to see a curve and just all sorts of stuff like that. But aliens, I guess I kind of do. I find it hard to believe. I have like existential crises all the time. And I find it hard to believe that of everything on earth that we just happen to be the most intelligent thing. Because what are the probabilities that humans are the most intelligent like species ever? I just don't believe it, really, because what are the chances of that? So I think it was Dora who just asked what my favorite underrated book is. And that is The Beast Player. I still haven't looked up that author's name. I did a full book diary on it, but it is a Japanese young adult fantasy, and it's translated from Japanese. And it follows a girl whose mother looks after these warrior snakes, and when they all die, then she kind of gets blamed and she gets put to death. And then she sort of like sends the girl away. Hey Bex. And then she ends up finding this like big flying furry beast thing, and they're like called the royal beasts, and she ends up like forming a bond with that. And she doesn't know that she has special abilities and stuff. It's really cute and it's really sweet. But yeah, nobody's like read it, and I think it's because it's only being translated for the US in March next year. And it's like so underrated in the UK. Like nobody has read it. Like I found it in Waterstones and really liked the cover, so I picked it up. But it had no promotion or anything. If you like look for a sequel, you can't find any information at all. But it's really good. Hi, thank you for joining. Yeah, spotty signals on trains. I've been there. I used to hate my days of like traveling on trains. Hufflepuff reader asks, where do I work? I work for a company that makes personalized gifts. Do I have any lying around? I don't think I do at the moment. But we make like plaques, mugs, metal signs, desk signs, clocks, things like that. And my job is I design. I do a lot of the designing work, but I also print the plaques and the clocks, and we do tea light holders. I do those as well. So essentially, all day, for most of the day, especially at Christmas, I'm just like printing constantly. So aside from like loading things into Photoshop, the only thing that I really have to do is put the plaques onto the machine. So that's why I end up watching a lot of booktube at work, because there's very few items we do that actually require brain power. Hi, Ellie. So Rachel also asked, if possible, what fictional pet would you want? So I feel like she had Fantastic Beasts in mind, and I'm very sorry, but I haven't seen it. Hi Jess. I just never went to the cinema to see it, and then I kind of just forgot about it. But I am going to watch it this Christmas because my dad really likes Harry Potter as well, and none of us have seen the Fantastic Beasts movie. But anyway, my fictional pet, if we're talking like a type of animal that's fictional, I'd like a dragon. If we're talking like a specific kind of like an actual pet that's a character, then I want Abraxas from the Throne of Glass series. I was torn between Abraxas and Buru from Storm Dancer, but they're both essentially big flying things that you can ride. So that seems to be my pet aesthetic, essentially. And then Rachel also asked what my dream career is. And I don't know, I struggle a lot with this because my job is great for me right now. Hi, Jade. Oh my God, my voice went really high pitched then. So sorry. So my job at the moment has no career progression. It pays okay, and while I work full time, it's not like crazy full time apart from Christmas. So I kind of want to move on at some point in the future, but what I do like about my job is it gives me plenty of time to run my own business, and it also gives me time to focus on YouTube. So I'm kind of like, I don't really have any career goals, because my when people ask me what I want to be, I always say that I have no, like, I don't have experience in enough fields to kind of know. I'd maybe like to work for a publishing house because I am so into books, but my kind of focus at the moment, unless I move into another career field by chance, like I've been looking at estate agents and things like that, then I would probably like to be able to kind of make enough money from my own business, and then probably like work part-time on the side, because like building up my business is what I'm trying to do, so that I can eventually be self-employed, because who doesn't want that, really? So I think Dora just asked, let's have a look, what did Dora ask? A villain I love to hate. Oh, that's really hard, because most villains I just kind of love. I don't really hate them. The only villain that I truly actually don't like is Umbridge from Harry Potter. Every other villain I kind of like in some way, but Dolores, like, I really hate. And I suppose one that I love to hate is Lavanna from the Lunar Chronicles series. She's one of my favorites. And a lot of people really don't like the novella in that series, which is fairest. But but I think that that was one of the strongest points in the series. Like, it doesn't redeem her, but like a lot of bad people or bad characters are made that way by a series of like circumstances, and you don't necessarily have to feel better about them because of that. But if you do know their circumstances, it's like, okay, like some horrific stuff was done and you've done some horrific stuff, so I kind of understand how that happened. Yeah, Dolores is like actually the worst. Like, I can't stand her. Voldemort isn't that bad. As you guys know, my favorite character in Harry Potter is Bellatrix, and she's awful. But Dolores Umbridge, she is like literally, she's legit the worst. So Tabby asked what my favorite and least favorite Game of Thrones character is. Right, this is really hard for me because I'm not going to spoil anyone for Game of Thrones, but something happens in season 3. And after that thing happened, I never truly let myself get invested in any characters because I I was like highly invested in a specific character, and then that kind of went out the window. And then I was like, well, I'm not going to bother getting invested in anyone else because it's just going to end badly. So my favorite characters, like from the most recent series, I really like Jamie. I really like the Sand Snakes. The Sand Snakes are my favorites. That is actually a fact. Like, I adore all of the Sand Snakes, and that thing that happened with the Viper, that was upsetting as well to me. My least favorite characters. Who don't I like? I don't feel like there's anybody that I really don't like. Controversial. Danny annoys me sometimes because she has like this righteous attitude that can be really annoying. Hi, Kerry. I'm glad that you let your doggo out though, because mine's probably gonna want to go soon. So thanks for reminding me that I might need to do that. But who are my least favorite characters in Game of Thrones? Oh, the Mountain. I really don't like the Mountain. I can't tell if I like Cersei or not. I didn't like Joffrey because who does? I didn't like Walder Frey, but I'm not supposed to. I actually kind of liked Ramsay, because I like villains, and I really like them for like how their character is, because like if you really don't like a villain and they're really like they have no redeemable qualities, kind of like Bellatrix, how she is just so bad and there is no like backstory, she just is pure evil. And that's kind of like Ramsay, like he had like daddy issues, but aside from that, he's just a dick, and that is just his character. So I kind of like him for that like character. I don't know what word I'm looking for, but just the fact that he's just like pure bad. I love that. No, I haven't read the Game of Thrones books. I will be reading them for the first time when I do the Game of Thrones read along that starts in January, because I've wanted to read them for a long time and I kept saying, oh, I'll read them in between these seasons or I'll do this. And then it got to the point where it was like, well, there's not really much point me catching up because the show is past them. So it's not like I'm preparing for the end of the show or anything anymore. So I just never read them. And a lot of people wanted me to do a Game of Thrones read along. So I thought that I would just start now for like absolutely no particular reason, but there will be Game of Thrones read along. I think announcement videos are coming next week for that, if anybody's interested in the Game of Thrones read along. I think maybe Thursday there will be an announcement video for that. No, Tabby, no, I haven't read them. There are 2 people who are co-hosting, I think. I think there's just 2 who have read them before. Everybody else will be reading them for the first time. Dora asked how many pets I have. So I have 1 dog, 3 cats, 1 meerkat, and then not really pets, but I have 20 chickens. And I think that's all of them. That's all of them. It's hard to keep track of them because, especially the black cats, the 3 black cats that I've got, we foster them for the animal shelter because they were feral when they were rescued, and they were kittens, and they were just like so scared of everybody. So we took them in. about 5 years ago now, and then they're still here. But because they were feral, there's one that's kind of friendly, one that only likes my dad, and one that hates everybody. So they're out a lot of the time, and if you go near them, they run away unless you have a ham sandwich, like in my vlog that I posted this week. But yeah, they're never all in one place. I was going to bring Rosie to the live show, but she has gone hiding somewhere. So I don't really fancy going digging her out. Oh, it's sad that you're allergic to cats. I'm allergic to dust, actually. Then people always laugh at me and say it's not a real thing, and it is, because you have like little bug things called dust mites that make up dust or are in dust, and I'm allergic to those. So I shouldn't really have any pets because their coats are dusty. I can't have birds because their wings are like all dusty, although that wouldn't stop me because no. But then I always joke about it because I'm fine with dust. Like I could be in the dustiest room, and as long as you don't disturb it, I would be fine. But if I come into contact with dust, then like I start sneezing and my throat sometimes starts to swell up. So yeah, I'm allergic to dust, so technically animals, but that doesn't stop me. Oh, I'm glad that you're joining the read along, Hannah. I'm interested to see how many people are going to join in the read along because I know that Game of Thrones isn't for everybody, and they're very, very chunky books and they're very high fantasy. I'm saying it like I've read them, which I haven't, but I know they're not for everybody, especially because a lot of people who subscribe to my channel will mainly read YA, but a lot of people do also really want to read them. So I'm super excited to see who's going to be joining us. Oh, Jade said if I could have one more animal as a pet, what would it be? I don't want people always ask me about meerkats, and I used to have two, and I don't want another one because they're quite destructive when they're young and they take a lot of care and they have health problems that vets can't fix because they know nothing about them. And I'd like another dog, but at the same time, my dog's my baby, and I have this thing where it's like no other dog will compare to my dog. But oh, I know actually, I really want a tortoise, and I always have, and that is like so random. And Jade, I know that you have, I think it's is it a gecko of some sort of, I want to say reptile. You have some sort of reptile, right? But I've always really wanted a tortoise, and my reasoning always was like this is since I was a kid that they're really easy to look after because they just eat vegetables, and you don't need to walk them, you don't need to let them out. I mean, you can let them walk about the floor a bit, but they don't take a lot of looking after. So yeah, I've always wanted a tortoise. Yes, Ryan, I am wearing your jumper. Well, it's my jumper now. It's been my jumper for quite a few years, but yeah, it used to be yours. Oh my god, Jennifer, somebody else who's allergic to dust. Yeah, I didn't know it was a thing until I don't even know why I was taken to the doctors, but it turned out that I was allergic to dust. And people laugh at me. Like my boyfriend actually laughs at me and says it isn't a real thing. And it really is. It even, I don't know if it does the same to you, but if I get dust under my nails or on my fingers, it makes them sting. And I thought that was normal because you're just like getting dirt like real deep under your nails, but apparently that's not a normal thing either. So Tabby says, do I have any 2019 bookish resolutions? My goals video will be coming at the end of the year. I'm going to try and go easier on myself this year because last year I couldn't really keep up with anything. This year, I couldn't really keep up with the goals that I set. And I made it really hard so that my TBRs had to be really structured. And it didn't work out for me. So I'm going to be making a list of books on my shelves I'm really excited to read and books that I'm not as excited to read. And by the end of the year, half of all of the books that I have read, so say I read 80 books in the year, at least 40 of them have to be from that list. And that list is going to be comprised from the books that I have left from when I did my entire own TBR video last year. So that was really confusing. But that, if that made any sense to you, that's kind of what I'm doing. Also, I'm doing really fun TBR videos next year, and I'm not saying anything about that because I'm so hyped to show you all what it is. But I kind of worked it out so that it's challenging and it's gonna challenge me to pick things, but also there's an aspect of me being able to choose what I read and be more free with my TBRs. So I'm really excited to show you guys all of that. So yes, Jade, your gecko, like I need to see more of it because it's so cute, but you only put like tiny little clips in your vlog. But I kind of like lizards. I never thought that I would because they're not like cuddly, but I think they're real cute. My mum had an axolotl, which is like an amphibian that has like big wavy things on its head, and that was like the cutest thing ever. It was just I can't describe it. Like you'll have to Google it if you don't know what it is because it's like impossible to describe. But it's like this little tank lizard with like wavy things on his head, and he was like really cute. Tabby has always wanted a white snake. I do kind of like snakes. When I went to Blackpool when I was a kid, I held like a massive python, and I think they're cool, but I would never want one because you have to feed them like mice and stuff, which doesn't sound fun. And I just don't feel like I'd be very good at looking after it. Oh, Maurice. He's called Maurice. I did not know that. Hufflepuff Reader asks, when is my booktube anniversary? My booktube anniversary is sometime in July. I think it's around the 10th. So I've had a channel for like a year and a half, is it? July, August, September, October, November, December. A year and 5 months I've had a channel. I can't remember what I did for my anniversary. I'm not sure. I actually don't remember. I was looking through my old videos the other day, and half of them I'm like, oh my god, I forgot that I did that. Yeah, Heather, I'm sorry about the link thing. I had a nightmare setting up the live, and I essentially realized that I should have prepared a lot better, and I didn't. So I like started and deleted the event like a million times before I got it how I wanted it. Jennifer, you have the same problem as me. That actually makes me happy that I'm not the only person. I'm sad that we have to go through this like horrible dusty stinging stuff, but I'm glad that it's like it's actually a thing and I'm not just the only person who has to deal with that. Maurice gives kisses. I had a parrot when I was a kid that gave kisses, and he was really cute, and he used to like when my mum put the cover over him at night time and he was going to sleep, if he could hear you walking past his cage, he would whisper bye bye. And he hated me, so I couldn't get near him. But when my mum went to kiss him, like he started to mimic the noise that she made, so he used to click his beak and rub his beak on her face when she kissed him, and that was like really cute. Hi Meg. I'm gonna have to look up leopard geckos because like I know what a gecko looks like, and I've seen Jade's a little bit in her vlogs, but like I don't know really. Like if you arranged a line of geckos, I couldn't pick out a leopard gecko. So back to my other questions. Jellybean asks what my favorite genre is. Sci-fi or fantasy? I've always said fantasy. I prefer high fantasy, romantic fantasy, like big epic fantasies. Like you all know I'm mass trash, and what I like about that is that there is an element of romance. And I think actually that a lot of people complain about the romance in Throne of Glass has made me realize that I still really like romance like I did when I was a teenager. I just need to have that big sweeping plot. So like all the crazy stuff that's going on in Throne of Glass, like I need all of that, but I also need the romance element and all of like the brooding females, essentially. So fantasy mainly, and the bigger and more complex and dramatic the plot, the better. Because I also love angst and like drama in books. And sci-fi, I I remember when I was a kid and we read this sci-fi book, and I don't know what it was, but I remember my teacher explaining to me that it was science fiction. And I was like, okay, that's really cool. Like science fiction is amazing. And now that I've started reading sci-fi again, I absolutely love sci-fi. I don't know what it is in particular that makes me love it. But I think that I might like sci-fi more than fantasy, but I haven't read anywhere near enough to like actually confirm whether that's true. But I do have a lot of hype fantasy that I haven't read yet. So you'll probably be getting some sort of update as I read more books. So Hufflepuff Reader asks what a pet I would never have is. I'd never have a tarantula because I don't like spiders. I'm not scared of them anymore, really, apart unless they're massive. But I don't understand why people would want pet tarantulas. And I see people posting pictures on Instagram and saying they're real cute and like, oh, look how beautiful it is. And I'm like, that's just a big hairy spider. I don't like how hairy they are because it's not like a nice soft fur. It's like a cactus, but an animal. Saying that though, I do really love hedgehogs, and they are actually animal cactuses. Dust allergy sounds awful. I'm allergic to grass and people just assume it's hay fever. You're like, you don't have hay fever, you're actually allergic to grass. Okay, that's one that I haven't heard before. So, yeah, like actual grass. That's an interesting one. Hi, Leona. Thank you. Thank you very much. Oh, Rachel's here and she's back as well. Tabby says, have you read The Expanse series by James S.A. Corey? I'm assuming that's the one. I'm going to describe this cover really badly, but it's kind of like red and it has like a white thing on it. I was watching BookTube at work today, and I heard somebody say that it was the closest thing to Game of Thrones in a sci-fi that they had ever read, which made me really intrigued. And I've actually only heard about it the last few months, and I don't really know what the plot of it is. Like, nobody's ever really explained that to me. But when somebody compared it to Game of Thrones, even though I haven't read that, but like a big epic sci-fi, then that definitely made me interested. But I feel like I have sci-fi I should read before I work up to that, because I feel like that's going to be hard sci-fi, and I don't think I'm ever anywhere like near ready to tackle that. Have you read Ender's Game, Sleeping Giants, and some books by Brandon Sanderson? I don't have Ender's Game. I've heard that that's a classic, but I also vaguely remember hearing that somebody said it's quite sexist. I am willing to give that a try, and I think the books are on Scribd. Sleeping Giants I have, but I haven't read yet. The other hype sci-fis I own that I don't have are A Long Way to a Small Angry Planet by Becky Chambers, and I have Illuminae, and I think those are the most hyped ones that I have that I haven't read, unless you count like Vicious and things like that. But like space sci-fis, they're the most hyped ones that I have. And there was another one, Brandon Sanderson. I've read Elantris because I was going to start Mistborn, but then I wanted to read the Cosmere in like a way that made sense. So I started with Elantris, and I really, really liked that. I think I gave it about 4 stars because I can't remember what they were now, but there were a couple of things that just like stopped it from being a 5 for me. But I really liked it, and I'm glad I read it because it was a good introduction to Brandon Sanderson without being tied into a series. And I will definitely continue when I have the time for such thick books, because I'm going into Game of Thrones next year, so that's going to take up like a lot of my reading time. Yeah, Rach, they are hairy, and it is very, very, very weird. Spiders are terrifying. Yeah, they are. Tabby, you got white bumps on your eyeballs. I haven't heard that one before. That's a strange one. Hi, Tarol. Where in the world are you? I'm guessing like if you're on the other side, then Australia, somewhere like that. Yeah, Tabby, they did say it was like the is it the Expanse series? They did say like it had like a big political thing going on, and sort of maybe it has lots of characters. Jade, I have read Annihilation. I read Annihilation for Booktubeathon, and then I read the other 2 books, and I don't have a clue what happened, but I gave the first one 5 stars, and I gave the other 2 4 stars, and then I watched the movie, that was a mindfuck. The books were a mindfuck. But, you know, I really hate open endings, but I think the way that trilogy wrapped up, I had enough to be satisfied, but it was like left open as well. But because of the nature of it, it was okay. Like, I just read Sadie and that's open ended, and I read Night Film and that's open ended, and I hated the endings of both of them. But Annihilation did something right for me. I don't, I like, when you read it, you don't have a clue what's going on. And because you don't have a clue what's going on, you keep reading to find out what's going on, but then you are hardly given anything. And by the end of 3 books, you still don't know what happened, but I still love them and I don't understand why. No problem, Jade. I can't remember why I read them. I asked for them. I think I got Annihilation for Christmas last year, and I read it on a whim. Did not know what it was about, but I loved it. Oh, Tarot is from Philadelphia. Rachel says hedgehogs are so cute. I saved one once and kept it as a pet, and it went missing. And my mum said it had to find a girlfriend. I've never saved one. I always want to take them in and look after them. A couple of weeks ago, there was one just sat on my doorstep, and I wanted it. But when I was a kid, we used to feed them ham or cat food because I think, are they endangered now? I think you're supposed to protect hedgehogs now. So if I can, I feed them. I stroke them, even though they've got fleas and you shouldn't. But yeah, I do love hedgehogs. And we don't get too many around here, but we do get like a couple. Rachel said, what's your favourite holiday destination? This is hard. My two favourites that I've been to are New York and Florida, that I went to with Ryan, who was just left. Bye, Ryan. And they were both good for different reasons. Like, I really love New York as a city, but then Orlando was more chill and we went to theme parks and stuff. So they're like two of my favorite places that I've been. I don't really like going to Europe, and I don't like beach holidays. Europe's kind of like, it's okay, but the reason I don't like going to Europe is because I've been on 2 school trips and a college trip to Netherlands, the Netherlands, sorry, Austria and Germany, and they were just horrible because they were school trips. I went to Berlin and it was like a foot deep in ice and it was horrible. So that kind of put me off Europe, but I did go to Paris last year and I really enjoyed it, but I definitely prefer going to the US. Carol said, can you pick 3 criminally underrated YA books that you wish should deserve more recognition on BookTube? So one is the one that I said before, which is The Beast Player. That definitely deserves more. I don't I don't read a lot of like super underrated books. I did read a modern poetry collection. I'm not sure whether it's YA because it's like poetry, but it was called Depression and Other Magic Tricks. It's the best poetry collection I've ever read, and I've only heard a couple of people talk about it. And there is at least one of the pieces, but I think there's definitely more than that. You can watch on YouTube performed as spoken word pieces. So that's really cool as well. And then I'm not sure that I have a third. I feel like Sarah Dessen as an author is underrated, but then I haven't read anything super recently from her because I just haven't gotten around to it. But I've read like 3 or 4 of her books. My favorite one is This Lullaby, and I don't hear very many people talk about Sarah Dessen. Would you rather read 100 books with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 star ratings, or 50 books that you all really enjoy and would give 4 or 5 stars? I think I kind of I'd rather read a range because I've noticed I read 3 5 star books last month, and this year I've read a lot of 5 star books, and I feel like I find it very hard to differentiate between them, and then I question whether they're all worth 5 stars because I gave them all 5 stars, but all for very different reasons. So I'd probably rather read a range because I feel like you also need to read 1 star books to be able to appreciate 5 star books. And actually, at the moment, I have a real urge to read some really trashy romance. because I want like a more chill reading experience. And I know that they won't be 5 stars, but sometimes, you just got to read something that isn't like great just to like get you through, if that makes sense. Rachel is the fairy godmother of the animal world. I won that title. Rachel coming up in here, stealing my fairy godmother status. Annihilation was the best kind of mindfuck. Yeah, it was. It wasn't. It has all the things that I hate in it, but I still loved it, and it just makes no sense. Any Christmas plans or traditions? So, not really. I have more of a Boxing Day tradition, which is where I pretty much don't move and just watch children's films all day. But this Christmas is the first Christmas without my mum, so it's going to be very different. I have Ryan come in for Christmas Day to help me out with cooking and also just to kind of be here and help me out emotionally. And my boyfriend is home for Christmas dinner this year instead of going to, like, he normally goes to his mum's just for Christmas dinner and then comes back. So it's going to be a very, very different Christmas. And I'm going to have to put in all the work, which I'm mad about because I don't know what I'm doing. I've never cooked a turkey in my life. And yeah, it's going to be a lot of hard work. So yeah, I don't have any plans. My preferred thing to do at Christmas is not a lot, so I don't have any like solid plans. Tarol asked, "What's your all-time favorite Christmas movie and what's your least favorite Christmas movie?" I don't think I have a least favorite one because if I do, I probably only watched it once and wouldn't remember it. But my favorite one, I really like actually. I'm not sure if it's my favorite because I like to watch Harry Potter at Christmas, which isn't a Christmas movie, but they're just always on TV at Christmas. But one of my favorites is The Last Action Hero with Arnold Schwarzenegger in, and it's about this guy who has a son. The guy is Arnold Schwarzenegger, and his son wants this doll, and he keeps saying that he'll go and get it, but it comes up to like Christmas Eve, and everywhere is sold out. And then he somehow, like, does he dress up as or become the doll thing? I don't know, but I absolutely love that movie. I did watch it last year for the first time in a very long time. I also like to watch The Wizard of Oz around Christmas time, which isn't a Christmas movie, but reminds me of Christmas because I always watch it, and things like Bedknobs and Broomsticks. Rachel said she doesn't like going on Europe holidays either, but beach holidays in Europe are okay. See, beach holidays in Europe are like my worst kind of holidays. I don't know why. I went to Tenerife when I was 19, which like isn't in Europe, but it's like a Spanish island, like off the coast of Africa. So I kind of count it as being similar to Europe because it's Spanish. Um, I don't think I would not go on another resort holiday like that, which is why I said that one of my top three destinations would be Hawaii, because that I feel like that's kind of like the US's version of going to Tenerife. And that just seems a lot better to me. Like Hawaii seems a lot more exotic than Tenerife. Till after Twilight. Tarol asked, what popular contemporary books would you want to recommend to fans of the beloved classic sitcom Friends? That's a hard one. I haven't read a lot of contemporary. I've read some, but I don't actually have a recommendation for that. No, because I like hard hitting contemporaries and then romances. So things like that are like Friends, I don't read very much of, and I can't even think of like a contemporary I've read that has a lot of like friendship themes in it or is like particularly funny like Friends. But I need to rewatch Friends because it's been on Netflix and I know there's been some like something to do with Netflix paying like so much money for it. But I haven't rewatched it in a very long time. Days with My Bookshelf said, have you read Illuminae? No. I want to read that very, very soon because I'm currently reading, like, I've read Nevernight and God's Grave and I've read the first book in the Lotus War. I'm about to read the second. And then I want to read Illuminae, the full, like, trilogy, because I've wanted to read that for a very long time. and I keep putting it off when I should like be prioritizing it. And I know I'm gonna love it, and I really want to get into the mixed media format, so I should be reading that soon. Yeah, Bex, I am gonna read Illuminae. I I want to get to it as soon as possible, but I want to finish the Lotus War soon, and then any opportunity I have to put a sci-fi in there, I'm gonna do it. Okay, Jade, I'll read Illuminae. I I don't know. Like I wanted to read it so much for so long, and I've just put it off enough now that I'm kind of like, you should definitely read it, because I'm only putting it off because I think I really enjoy it, and I have this thing where I want to read books that are worse than other books. Like if I have three sci-fis, one I know I'm going to really love, and then one I know is probably just going to be okay, I want to read the most okay one first before I read the really good one. But then I realize that like I'll read the really okay one, and then I'll just buy another one that's really okay, and then I'll read that one, and I'll never read the one that I actually really want to read. So I'm going to try and be better about prioritizing the books I'm actually really excited for. Yeah, Heather, I put up a video, I don't remember which one it was. I think it was the second part of my top 10 videos I want to read right now. And I said that I punish myself when I do that. And a lot of people said that they do too. But I kind of need to stop, because I've noticed by going through my Goodreads shelves that because I've been doing that, books that I really, really wanted to read like 4 years ago haven't been read, and now I don't want to read them because it's been so long. And that's going to happen with books that I really want to read now if I don't actually like read them. So I'm going to take a question from Twitter because I haven't done that. Tara said, "What was the first fantasy series do you remember reading as a child?" First one I remember reading, it's got to be Harry Potter, I think, because I grew up. My mum used to read Famous Five and Secret Seven and things like that to me, so it was like proper old school children's books that she used to read to me. And Harry Potter, I think, was one of the first things that I picked up myself. But I did used to go to the library, and I loved reading so much that I didn't really care what I was reading. So I would go to the library and pick up 13 books. Like I would read series out of order and everything. And I would read like 13 books a week. It was 12. I could get 12 books out, and I'd read them in a week and go back and pick 12 more. I read the Vampire Diaries series out of order when I was like 10. So yeah, I can't remember pretty much anything that I read when I was a kid, because I just used to devour books. Oh, Dora asked my favorite snack when reading. Probably chocolate, although I will. Yeah, chocolate. I tend to eat chocolate most when I'm reading, if I'm just snacking because I'm reading. I have some really nice chocolate from Hotel Chocolat at the minute that I'm eating only when I read Kingdom of Ash, which is fun. So I'm going to take a question from Twitter. Oh, Ryan asked me on Twitter, Throne of Glass or ACOTAR, and that is actually really hard because I it depends which one I'm reading. Like I always said that I liked ACOTAR more than Throne of Glass, but now that I'm reading Throne of Glass, I like it more. But then if I went back and read like ACOMAF, then I would probably like that more than Throne of Glass. So that pretty much depends on which one I'm reading at the time. My favorite books in the Throne of Glass series are actually the later ones. I know a lot of people don't like them, but Empire of Storms is like my favorite one. A lot of people, including Jade, actually like Jade really liked Air of Fire, but I noticed when I reread them that Air of Fire is the filler book in the series. The plot does not progress. Like there's tons of character development, but if you like go into it already knowing what's coming afterwards, you realize that Sarah J. Maas needed the plot to go from one place to somewhere else, and Air of Fire is just like so much character development that makes that happen, but like nothing actually really happens. So like when people say that Air of Fire is their favorite, I get really confused because I'm like, but why though? Nothing happens. Watson said, "Hi, how's it going?" It's going good. It was Narnia or Wrinkle in Time? I haven't read Narnia or Wrinkle in Time. I kind of wanted to read Narnia, but then I don't know, it's not on my radar anymore. Do you have any books you think you were too young to read? Yes. I need to cough again. What did I read when I was too young? I started The Dresden Files by Jim Butcher, which is a series about a supernatural detective who kind of works with, it's like Angel, the spin-off from Buffy, but as a book series. He's a supernatural detective that deals with the cases that the police can't because they're supernatural. And there's like sex in it, there's swearing. It's like an adult supernatural serialized crime. And I really enjoyed it, but I read it when I was about 12 and it just was not appropriate for my age. But there's also a lot that I read that was probably too old for me because I just read everything. I read the Buffy books and I watched Buffy as it was on TV, and Buffy started when I was 3, and I probably started watching it when I was about 5 and reading the books like when I was 9 or 10, and that was all like too old for me as well. Bye, Dora. Thank you for joining me. Jade says, I think Air of Fire was so much better for me because I fucking hated Crown of Midnight. Crown of Midnight is not good, and I really don't like Throne of Glass either. I think that the books are very badly written. Crown of Midnight is. I thought Crown of Midnight was better than Throne of Glass because Throne of Glass just seemed like really pointless and wasn't very badly written, and I read it directly after ACOTAR, which is like written a lot better. And then Air of Fire, I didn't like at the time because of like what happens in that book. I was just waiting for her to go back to where she came from and reconcile what she left there at the end of Crown of Midnight. So I really didn't like Air of Fire at the time because of what was going on in that book. And then I really liked Queen of Shadows. I loved Empire of Storms. Tower of Dawn is good. I gave it 5 stars, but it's not as good as like Empire of Storms and Queen of Shadows because it's like a completely change of pace, and I just want like the action and like what's going on. And then Kingdom Bash so far is really good. I have like 260 pages left. Mary Beth asked what my favorite thriller is. Either Emma in the Night by Wendy Walker or Night Film by Marisha Pessl. But Night Film has like slightly supernatural elements through it a little bit. Like it's mainly a thriller, but it has some like paranormal elements. So like straight thriller, probably Emma in the Night. Tyrell asked which Hemsworth brother do you like better, Luke, Chris, or Liam? I don't know who Luke is. So I'm gonna go Chris because I definitely like Chris more than Liam. Yeah, Jade, you do need to read Queen of Shadows at some point. I can't remember. Oh yeah, I do remember how that one starts. I don't remember Queen of Shadows a whole lot, but I know that I did really like it. Let me think. It's it's not as good as Empire of Storms, but Sarah J. Maas books, like you can't be in a slump to read them because they will just take you forever. And the first third of them is slow. And you got to care about the characters, which I do. Like I get so attached to the characters, which is why I am willing to like pursue them when everyone says that they're slow and boring. Like I can get through them because I really, really love the characters. But if you're in a slump, like you have no chance. Like I can't even do Sarah J. Maas if I'm in a slump, and I will like you all know I'm mass trash. Beck said Luke is the older brother. He's only new to acting. Yeah, he's older. I thought he would be younger because I haven't heard of him, but that's cool. So I have another Hemsworth to look up because the two that I know, Chris and Liam, are both very attractive. The something put me off Chris. What was it? Oh, I heard that when Chris did the audition for Thor or the Avengers, whichever one came first. I'm not like super big on the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But when he did the audition for that, he only did it because Liam wanted the part and then Chris got it. So that made me think that Chris was kind of a jerk, but I do like him more. Like if we're talking looks wise, I do like him more. And then if we're talking personality, I don't really know much about any of them. So I couldn't pick one based on that. Oh, Anna said, what are your thoughts on booktube consumerism? I think that people should mind their own business, essentially. It's not anyone's place to tell anyone else how they should spend their money. I mean, for example, I don't like watching unboxings very much because I think they're quite pointless. Because, say, I watch the November Fairy Loot unboxing, I can't buy November Fairy Loot because they're all sold out. So I find unboxings of like subscription boxes quite pointless. If you've noticed, I rarely buy subscription boxes, and if I do, then they're themed, so I know pretty much what I'm getting. So because I don't like unboxing videos, I don't watch them. I don't then complain about people making them and people buying subscription boxes. That's just a personal like point on that's like my personal opinion, and that's not to be reflective on anybody else. And I think it's the same with consumerism. If you think it's stupid that people buy so many books and so many different editions, then okay, but don't tell anyone else what to do because it's like it's not your place. Yeah, Jade, like with the boxes thing, I don't know. Like I watched a couple when I didn't subscribe to very many people and I was just consuming absolutely everything that was in my subscription feed. But then I'd get really excited about certain items in bookish boxes, and then I'd be like, well, this is pointless because I'll never have this one. And I don't like to take the risk with things like Fairy Loo or Owl Crate because I may not like the fandoms or the items, and then I would just end up giving them away anyway. So the only subscription boxes I bought, I have three. I got the Fae Crate Kingdom of Ash Hangover Crate because I knew that it was going to be like Throne of Glass stuff, which I obviously would want. And I have two Wonder Crates from Ink and Wonder because I know that I love them. And I think when I next do a giveaway, I don't know when that will be, but I will probably be giving away a few bits from them that are just from like fandoms that I don't know anything about. Yeah, like all the items are exclusive. So it's, I just don't. And then a lot of the things, like a lot of, I know in one of the Illuma crates, they had this really cool like wooden bookmark that was in the shape of a dagger, and I looked and it was just they bought it from some guy who just does laser cutting, and at the time he didn't do bookmarks, so I couldn't even buy like a different shaped bookmark from him because he'd done it exclusively. And he recently added them into his Etsy store for Christmas, but at the time that they were actually in the box, you couldn't buy even a bookmark, never mind like the same one that was in a Luma crate. Gary said that Luke is definitely the least attractive Hemsworth brother. I'm going to have to look him up. This is what you guys have done. If y'all are going to talk about Luke, then I need to look him up. Oh, yeah. I think I've seen that guy actually in pictures. And I may have thought that he could have been the dad because he doesn't look that old. That, but he looks a lot more, say, worn than the other two do. Dates in my bookshelf said, "Do you watch Riverdale?" I'm totally like out of order in the questions now as well. But do I watch Riverdale? Yes, I do, but I'm like 2 episodes behind. The new season is really weird, and I've noticed like I watched 13 Reasons Why. Like I know it's problematic, but like I love angsty drama and problematic content. I know it's bad, but I do. So I watched 13 Reasons Why season 2 and Riverdale season 3, and I think that they're going too far. The thing that happened at the end of Riverdale of 13 Reasons Why season 2 definitely went too far. And all this stuff in Riverdale with like Archie in juvie and underground fighting rings, it's just not even a little bit believable. Like I was willing to suspend my disbelief for Riverdale because some things are a little bit out there. And like the thing that bugs me about the new season of Riverdale isn't even all that Goblin King stuff that's going on. It is all of like the juvie stuff. Jade, I wanted to watch 13 Reasons Why because it was only going to be one season of like 10 episodes, well, 13 episodes. And I was like, okay, it's like a mini series. Everyone is talking about it. I'll watch it. And then I kind of got hooked in the like wanting to know if anybody would get like what they deserved. And then season 2, just like, why was she still in it? because she has no purpose there anymore. She called Hannah. And then the scene, I'm not going to spoil it if anybody does care to watch season 2, but the scene in the bathroom in season 2 was just too much. And I know that it happens, but still, TV is not a place to put such violent and like graphic content at a show aimed for teenagers. And it was like really uncomfortable to watch. And it wasn't even like entertaining in like a drama way. Like, it was just really uncomfortable. And then the way it like segued into what happened in the last episode, it was just a lot. Jade said, I never watched the show, but the book alone was enough to make me want to set things on fire. The show is better than the book, because from what I remember of the book, it ends and like all the tapes are listened to, and then it's just kind of like, okay, cool. And then like nothing happens. So at least in the show, there's like some like form of like they're trying to pursue like justice for Hannah in whatever, like some people are going about it the wrong way, but at least they're trying. In the book, it's just like, this girl killed herself and she says these are the reasons, and everyone just accepts it, and it's like, yeah, okay, that's fine, which is just ridiculous. Any favorite diverse booktubers or books? Not sure about booktubers, because I do subscribe to quite a few, and I don't like to like say what like pick favorites essentially. But books, I really like Japanese inspired books. So like I said a million times, The Beast Player. I'm reading Shadow Dancer now, which is Japanese inspired. I like Simon versus the Homo sapiens agenda, but I don't like anything else by Becky Albertalli. And I think that's it for like diverse stuff that I've really liked. Mary Beth, I hope you like Emma in the Night. That was the first thriller that I ever read, like actually knowing it was a thriller, and I actually really, really loved it, and I was surprised. And Night Film, I think Night Film is like 100 pages too long, and it could have ended perfectly, but then it just carried on for 100 pages. But it's still really good. Mary Beth asked if I have a hobby. Where is it gone? Do I have a hobby or interest that you think your viewers would be surprised to know about you? I'll just one second. I'll just go grab it, because I'm like an old lady at heart. So I've been working on this for like a number of years. I got it for Christmas in like 2016, I want to say. But there we go. That is a Beauty and the Beast cross stitch. I'm really upset actually, because these cross stitch kits have been discontinued, and they did like every Disney film. And now if I want them, they're like £150, and like literally nobody has them. No, Jade, it's not crochet. Crochet is like knitting, but with one needle. It's cross stitch. Thanks, Anna. It's I've been working on it for a very long time, and the reason that I like doing cross stitch is because I can't just watch TV or just do something with my hands. I have to be doing both at once. So I started cross stitching when I was watching TV, and I can also knit. Is that all I can do? I think so. I can't use a sewing machine. I really wanted to quilt, but I tried and I just couldn't do it. Tara said, what coming of age sci-fi books would you want to recommend to fans of Stranger Things? I feel like I had something in mind the other day that sounded a lot like Stranger Things. I don't actually think, have I read any young adult sci-fi? I don't think I've read any young adult sci-fi. I think it's all been adult. But I actually can't remember when people, sounds really weird, but when people ask me specific questions about books, my mind just goes completely blank. Thank you, Jade. I essentially grew up with older parents, and So I have like old lady hobbies. Like my mum taught me to crochet and helped me learn to knit. The cross stitching was kind of all on me, but I'm kind of like a project person. The reason that I started my business is because I was watching like a really cool YouTube channel called Royalty Soaps, and it was this girl who's like really bubbly and really funny, and she makes soap, and she makes these really cool YouTube videos. And I thought, you know what, maybe I could make soap. So I started making soap, and then soap's really hard. Soap is really hard to make. So I moved on to body butter, and then I moved on to candles. But like if I see something and it looks really interesting and I think that I could do it, then I do. And that's kind of how I started a YouTube channel as well, because I was watching booktubers and I was like, I could do that. I can talk about books because I read a lot. So I did, essentially. Anna said she hated how they portrayed suicide as an act of revenge in 13 Reasons Why. 13 Reasons Why, to me, it's like, I know a lot of people see it as being really problematic for that reason, but I see it more as an how teenagers, I don't want to say like how they think everything is the end of the world, but how things that adults trivialize as being unimportant are important to teenagers and can actually really affect them mentally. So all these things that adults would say, just like turn the other cheek or brush it off, it's not that bad. Or when you're older, like none of this will matter, like it's not like really that important. Like it does actually affect younger people. Like I know lots of stuff that is totally unimportant to me now were super important to me when I was a teenager. So I kind of took it as that, and like all of this stuff just like ground her down, and like some horrible things happen in that book. So like it gets pretty bad. Um, but yeah, that's not like 13 Reasons Why. I kind of liked it for the drama, and I can look past, like, I see how it affects other people and how people say it's harmful to younger people. But I kind of just wanted to see how it would end. And I believe there's still going to be like a season three, which I'm not sure I'm going to watch because I have no idea where it's going. And I think they're just dragging it on because it's successful now. So it's probably not going to do very well. Dates in my bookshelf said, I believe the next episode that I'm up to reveals the reason behind the juvie thing. Probably yes, because the last episode I watched was where Mad Dog came back. This is Riverdale now, by the way, for people who aren't following like the chat. The last episode of Riverdale I watched was where Mad Dog came back for like that one bit, and then things happened afterwards. So I'm not sure where the like Archie storyline is going at the minute. Dates in my bookshelf said, how old are you? I am 25 and a half now. I'm almost 26. Well, I'm halfway to 26. Favorite modern big screen retelling of a classic? Oh, modern. Do I have a modern one? Can't think of any like really good adaptations I've watched. I tend not to. I really like tend not to watch book adaptations anymore because if I like the book, they're done badly. And then if I watch the adaptation is really good. Normally the book isn't very good. But one that I really love, it's like nowhere near modern, but one of my favorite films that is adapted from a book is the Alfred Hitchcock, he's a director, of Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. It's got Laurence Olivier in it, and it's like so good. Like if you like old black and white movies, you will love that one. What genre do you tend not to pick up but have really wanted to get into? No adult smutty romance, because I've been watching Chandler. I've been watching Chandler Ainsley, and also Chelsea is daily vlogging at the minute from Chelsea Darling Reads. And who else? Natasha from My Reading Is Odd have all been reading like real tacky, smutty romances. And I kind of want a break from fantasy because I'm working so much at the minute. Like, I kind of want just like some trashy romance in my life, but I don't pick it up very often. Like, I don't want it to be full on erotica. Like, I want it to have like a bit of plot and not anything like 50 Shades because I hated that. But yeah, just like some trashy new adult romancy stuff. My least favorite book to movie or TV adaptation. Oh, okay, the Mortal Instruments movie, because that cast was perfect. Never seen a better cast for a young adult like adaptation ever. But the movie was so bad. Like it was awful. Like the scene where they first kiss, I have no words for how bad that was. Like it was so cheesy. I wanted to throw up, and I love some cheese, both like food cheese and like cute cheese. But yeah, that movie was so bad, but the cast was absolutely spot on. And I haven't watched the Shadowhunters TV series because I am so attached to the cast of the movie, and it's just it's so tragic how bad the movie for that was. I actually really like 10 Things I Hate About You. I also like Romeo and Juliet, that modern adaptation. I'm pretty sure is what's that film with Rachel Lee Cook? She's All That. Is it She's All That? I think that might be one. I really like that. But then I also just really like the 90s rom-com like teenage movies that were coming out at that time. Clueless, I've only seen once or twice and I didn't love it as much as I like 10 Things and She's All That. My favorite readathon is the Owls and Newts one that G from Book Roast hosts. The whole like magical readathons there. I really, really love those. And it's one of those things, like it's so obvious that it's like, why did nobody ever do that? Like the way she's done it is absolutely amazing, and it just blows my mind because when you think about the way that she structured that readathon, it's like so easy. It's like so obvious, like the prompts are there for like a Harry Potter like subject based readathon, and it just blows my mind that nobody ever did it. Rachel said the football one. No, that one's She's the Man. Is that one She's the Man? She's All That is Freddie. Is it She's All That with Freddie Prince Jr. and Rachel Lee Cook? But I think maybe I am thinking of She's the Man. That's like a adaptation. Yeah, She's All That. I love that movie, and it has that Kiss Me song, which is by the Cardigans in, and it's just like so cute and romantic, and I love it. The Shadowhunters TV show is so bad. The movie was better. Well, the movie was very badly made. I think I don't think I'm gonna like what they've done with the TV show from what I've heard. So I think I like the way they went with the plot and like the style that they did the movie, but they just like it sucked. It could have been so good, and they had like that epic cast, and they just made it like really cheesy and bad. I do actually prefer TV to movies, especially in adaptations, because I think that they have the space to develop the plot in the way that the books do, but they also have a lot of room to grow away from the main plot and make it its own thing. Like if you think of the Vampire Diaries, the books are like so bad. Like there's one part in the books where Elena is floating around like a balloon and Stefan ties her with a rope to like her bed thing. Like he ties a piece of rope around her leg and ties it to the metal on her bed. And she's like floating in the air, being like, "Oh, I love you so much, Stefan." And it's just like so bad. But the show, like, I absolutely love it. The same with Pretty Little Liars. I've read the first book in that, and that's bad. But the show is really, really good. Yeah, I'm excited for the Owls next year. I will definitely be taking part. I am going to do the Christmas one next week. I think it starts. My TBR will be up on Sunday, but I'm not sure how like far I will actually get in that one. I'm gonna sneeze. Phew! Apologies. Yeah, I'm not sure how far I'll get in that one because it's my last week at work before I'm off for 2 weeks for Christmas. If you could choose a book to adapt into a movie, one that isn't awful, which book would you choose? Ooh, I think the Red Queen series would be really good as a movie because it has all these superhero-esque powers and things in it. And the first book isn't fast paced, but the second one is very fast paced. And then the third and fourth have like a good mix of like slow and fast. There are a lot of moments in Warstorm, which is the last book, which I felt would be like really well portrayed cinematically. So if they could make a series of movies based on the Red Queen books that didn't suck, that would be great. And I would watch that. They're doing Throne of Glass as a TV show and Akatar as a movie, or at least one movie at the moment. And I'm actually dreading those because even if they manage to make the movies good, like, because I'm so attached to the characters, the casting will never be spot on for me. And I also don't think that they're going to do them very well either. So I'm terrified for those to come out. If you can cast a famous award-winning actor to play Ebenezer Scrooge in a modern-day retelling of A Christmas Carol, who would you pick and why? Ooh, I just had somebody in my mind and they've completely gone. Ebenezer Scrooge. Award-winning. See, I'm not like super confident who's won awards. I keep having like just flickers of actors' faces like just passing through my head, and I can't. They're not sticking. Maybe somebody like Benedict Cumberbatch, because I feel like he's quite good at portraying very different actors, very different characters, and not being typecast. And I'd really like to see him play like a super twisted character. But there was somebody else who was like in my head then, and they've just completely gone. Hi, Michelle. I'm good at collecting series before I read any of the books. I have all of TMI, TID, the first two in the DA, the entire Throne of Glass and Akatar original trilogy. Which should I read first? Right, I read The Mortal Instruments when I was 17 or 18, and they were so good because I was the right age to read them. But I read The Infernal Devices at the beginning of last year, and I thought that they were boring. And I don't know whether that's because I'm not big on historical fiction or whether that's because I am older than the intended audience now, so I don't enjoy them as much. But I'm not sure with those anymore because I'm kind of giving up on Cassandra Clare a little bit. I have the first two Dark Artifices books, but I'm not sure when I'm going to get to them. Throne of Glass and Akatar, that depends. I would say Throne of Glass is going to feel like the worst of the two because the beginning is not very strong at all. So you could read Throne of Glass, and then if you like that, you're probably going to love Akatar because her writing's a lot better than it is in the first part of Throne of Glass. But if you want to go for something really good to make sure that you like her work, then I would say read Akatar first. So it depends what kind of reader you are and which one you would prefer. Rachel said, if you could be any Harry Potter spell, which would it be? Avada Kedavra. No. Is it Rictum Sempra? Is that the tickling one? Or is that ridiculous? Oh, I'm struggling. But like the tickling one, that would be fun because I I like to tickle people that don't like being tickled. Like my boyfriend hates it, but I just find it hilarious because I'm that bitch. Elder Wand, Invisibility Cloak, or Resurrection Stone. Obviously, I want to be the most powerful person in the world with the most powerful wand. Um, but probably Resurrection Stone because yeah, immortality. I wouldn't mind that. I'm like terrified of getting old, so immortality is definitely for me. Oh, I didn't know they were doing the Name of the Wind TV series, although I think I heard something about Lin-Manuel Miranda. So I think I like vaguely heard of it, but it didn't like set in. I'm excited for the Witcher TV show, not only because I really like the game. I haven't read the books yet, but I do have one of them. I really, really like Henry Cavill. And fun story, the reason that I like Henry Cavill is because when I was like 13, I used to stalk Stephanie Meyer's website for any news about anything regarding Twilight and a Twilight movie and stuff. And one of the people that she wanted cast as Edward was Henry Cavill. And if you're from the UK, you'll know what I'm talking about. But he was in one episode of Inspector Lindley Investigates and one episode of Midsummer Murders, which are both things that my mum used to watch because she loved watching crime shows. And so I made her find those two episodes and record them for me so that I could watch them because I wanted to like research who was going to be Edward. And he was one of them. And at the time, he wasn't a very well known actor at all and had been in like two episodes of two TV shows and not very much else. So I have like an attachment to Henry Cavill from that. Um, but also like I think he's a good actor and he's also really hot. So I'm excited. Although I'm not sure how he's gonna look like blonde, because like Geralt has like grey white hair, so that's interesting. If you could bring a beloved Harry Potter character who was killed off too early back to life, who would it be? Killed off too early. Just going through my list of people who've been killed. I'm gonna say, so close your ears until I put my hand down, if you don't want to be spoiled for Harry Potter or if you don't know. But I'm gonna say James Potter because I would like to see the dynamic between like Padfoot, Prongs, Wormtail, and Moony later on in life. So yeah, I'd like to see what would have happened if they'd all been separated and the old gang got back together like later on in the Harry Potter world. If you could bring a beloved Game of Thrones character who was killed off too early back to life, who would it be? This one is easy, so if you don't want Game of Thrones spoilers, wait till I put my hand down. But Robb Stark, because that's the thing I was talking about earlier that upset me. So yeah, Robb Stark. I'm laughing with you at the jaw torture tickles. Yeah, like I'm really bad at it. Anybody who's ticklish, like I will just attack you for fun, even though you don't like it, because yeah, it's just who I am. Oh, a prequel to the book series. So that's interesting because then it won't be retelling the story and it will actually have room to grow as like its own thing, which is exciting. I love a Marauders series. Yes. Like I that's what I want. I want like a essentially Harry Potter, but when James, Snape, Lily, Lupin and everybody was at school. I would love that. Favorite candy or sweets? I don't eat a lot of sweets, but I like fizzy cherries, so like the sour ones. And I like straws, but only like the Haribo ones that like are real easy to pull apart. I don't like the jelly ones that are like hard to chew. What are your thoughts on Nick Jonas and Priyanka Chopra? Chopra's recent wedding? I don't have any, really, because I only found out it was happening about 4 days ago. And the only reason I found out it was happening is because it said something about Sophie Turner going to Nick Jonas's wedding. And I was really confused. And then I found out that she was dating Joe Jonas. Then my mind was blown. And then I found out that Joe Jonas is really short. And my mind was blown again. So I don't really follow celebrities anymore, and I have like no idea what they do or what's happening. So yeah, there's that. What's your go-to comfort food when you're sick? Um, if you might notice, I'm like sniffly now, but that's like I have more of a cough at the minute. But my go-to comfort food is anything that's kind of like a stew or a broth. I like stew and dumplings. I'm not sure if that's a thing anywhere outside of the UK, but I love stew and dumplings. And if I have a really sore throat, I have Bovril, which is like it's gonna sound disgusting, but it's kind of like a really weak gravy that has like it's really like warming and good for colds and things like that. What are your thoughts on the Fantastic Beast films? Haven't seen them. I mentioned this earlier, but I just didn't go to the cinema for the first one. And so I haven't seen them yet, but I think I'm going to watch at least the first one at Christmas. Oh, Michelle, you do have stew and dumplings. Okay, so I thought it was a UK thing because I've even mentioned it to some people outside of like Lancashire and Yorkshire, and they don't really know what it is. So I wasn't even sure if it was a thing in the entirety of the UK. But I love like dumplings so much. They're the one thing that I used to help my mum make in the kitchen when I was a kid as well. Like she'd make the stew and I'd make the dumplings because it's like dough, so it's like real fun. Terrell is asking all the important questions. Most underrated book of 2018. Don't think I've read much that's underrated. Oh no, that's not underrated. That's like an unpopular opinion. Um, no, I don't think I've read like anything super underrated this year, apart from the Beast Player, which is like ridiculously underrated. I feel like I read a range of books, but I don't read anything like super like underhyped. And like I want to change that. I want to get to a point where like I walk into a bookshop or a charity shop and I like pick a book that I've never heard of just based on its synopsis. But at the minute, I know like I there's so many books that I know about that I want to read that I don't really have that opportunity. Oh, my unpopular opinion. Okay, right. I don't know if any of you are gonna like. No, I only know the tea because I looked into it or like I'd heard a lot about it. But I actually liked. Oh God, I actually really liked November 9 by Colleen Hoover, and it's problematic, and I see that, but it's angsty as hell and it's dramatic, and that's why I loved it. But I don't think there's any problem in enjoying problematic content as long as you realize that it is problematic and you realize why, which I did, but I still fucking loved it. So yeah, that's my unpopular opinion. It's 10 a.m. for me in Australia and it's already so hot. It's only 20 degrees Celsius at the moment. But we've literally had rain up until yesterday. I wish it was hot here. Ryan goes to Australia quite frequently because he has family there. But I've never been before because I don't really like long, like super long plane rides. Like I can do about 10 hours at most. So I haven't been. But I just want that heat and I want frozen Coke. I love frozen Coke so much and we don't have it in the UK. Oh my God, yeah, like I love November 9. It's, oh God, it gave me all the feels. It's like I'm trash. Like one of my favorite tropes is like tearaway bad boy, and I haven't watched the trailer for After by Anna Todd that everyone's talking about because they're all like, oh, it's so problematic, and it probably is, but I'm probably gonna love it. And in some ways, I think that makes me part of the problem because I enjoy problematic media and therefore I make it popular. But like I understand that it's problematic, but I just can't help it. I love a bad boy. I love a brooding bad boy. I love an unhealthily protected. I like territorial fair bastards from Sarah J. Maas. Yeah, I do. It's like my guilty pleasure. Favorite color? No, I haven't answered that. It is either like a tealy turquoisey color, like like this, or like a slightly more green, or like a deep raspberry kind of color. Favorite new villain of 2018? Hmm. What have I read that's like new in 2018? Let's consult this bullet journal. I don't have villains in here, but I have like my best of the year. I don't think I've had a really standout one. Ooh, Nova from Muse of Nightmares. She'll do. She's villain-ish. You should come to Oz, Becca, join us, but no, the plane trips from Oz to UK is honestly the worst. I don't even think they do a direct flight, do they? You have to change in either Beijing or is it somewhere in the UAE that you have to change to get to Oz? And it's like two super long plane journeys, and I just can't deal with that. Biggest social media pet peeve, probably all the tea that's on Twitter, because like I love me a good debate, but it just gets a bit much, and I don't think it's book Twitter. I think it's Twitter in general, because I got into like some huge like thing, and I was getting notifications constantly because of something to do with like gun laws once that I had just tweeted on, and like people in the US were saying like, oh, we can't live without guns, and I just commented something like, oh, well, we do in the UK, and I don't see how it's a problem not having guns. And like everybody just wants to pick holes, and everyone wants to be nasty, and Twitter is such like a transient, like, what's the word, like changeable, like into like nothing matters on Twitter because it's like 240 characters or whatever it is, and it's relevant for like a hot minute and then it disappears. So I feel like people take the liberties to just say whatever the hell they want. A lot of people just like, as soon as they have a problem with something, they'll just like pick up on it. People are nasty on Twitter. People are on the defensive as soon as like you talk to them. So yeah, like Twitter tea is like my biggest social media pet peeve, because like I like Twitter for a lot of reasons, but I really don't like that about Twitter. And like I said, I don't think it's book Twitter. I think it's just all Twitter in general, pretty much. I have not seen Bush Christmas. Where in the UK are you from? I mentioned this earlier. I'm from near Manchester, which is like the west of the UK. And I went to uni in Huddersfield, which is in Yorkshire. So I was there for a little while. And now I live near Hull, which is like, I live on the east coast, so it's like, I always say near Hull because even people in the UK don't have a clue where I live if I actually am more specific. But I'm like 40 minutes away from Hull, like literally on the east coast. About 100 yards down the road is like the cliff and the sea. So like I'm right on the coast. But that's not like a desirable thing in the UK because the sea is freezing all the time and it's not nice. My favourite fictional pet, I mentioned this, Rachel, actually before you joined because that was your question on the YouTube community page. And I said Abraxas. He's not really a pet, he's a wyvern, he's a mount, but Abraxas from Throne of Glass. Yeah, Singapore or Dubai. I mean, I've heard actually that I think was it Singapore that Ryan changed in, and he said the books were really cheap, so that's good. But like, it just takes such a long time to get to Singapore, and then from Singapore to Australia takes forever as well. So I just like I struggle on like an 8 hour flight to Orlando, so I'd like really struggle doing two like back to back. Favorite debut of 2018. I read Everless by Sarah Holland in 2018. Have I read any more debuts this year and really liked them? I should have had this bullet journal from the beginning because then I would have been able to answer things better. I read the Hazel one and I gave that 4 stars, but it was also like a bit crazy. I actually don't have any debuts on here, so I'm going to go with Everless by Sarah Holland, which I read right at the beginning. Well, thank you, Rachel. You are such a sweetheart. Also, Rach, I have a bone to pick with you. Why were you and Jessie talking about me? I know about your little secret chats. I'm just kidding. I know it was all nice things, because why wouldn't it be? Have you done much travelling? I haven't been, like, crazy far. These are all the places outside of the UK I've been to. So I've been to the Netherlands. I've been to both Amsterdam and I can't remember where else I went because it was a school trip when I was like 12. I've been to Salzburg in Austria. I've been to Berlin in Germany. I've been to Tenerife. I've been to Paris in France. I've been to New York and I've been to Orlando, and I think that's everywhere. I do like to travel, but my boyfriend doesn't really like flying. And when I go on holiday with Ryan, we tend to go to the States every other year. But we couldn't go last year because of just like stuff. Oh no, we were supposed to go this year, but stuff was going on. So we may go to BookCon next year or BookNet Fest, but we haven't decided which. Because I think I'd rather go to BookNet Fest, but I think a lot of people that I like and I talk to are going to BookCon this year, so I might do that. Well, next year. But I haven't decided. What did you study at uni? I did advertising and media relations, which is half marketing, half PR and journalism. I hated the PR stuff, but I really enjoyed the marketing stuff. And I feel like I utilize it quite well with YouTube and also my own business. In my day-to-day job, I don't use it a lot. The main things I learned at uni that I use at work are like e-commerce things, like how to sell online, a bit of social media work. But yeah, like my actual day job, I don't use my degree a lot, but the other stuff I do use it like quite a bit. Oh, thank you, Mary Beth. I will visit Europe in 2020, but I'm not prepared for that flight. Yeah, it's a long haul. But then, Bex, you've been to the US recently. How long does that take? Right, this is a question. If you go to the US from Australia, so stupid. Which way around the world do you fly? Like, do you fly? Because, like, if you look at the traditional world map, like, the UK is right in the middle. This is probably going to be reversed for you, but, like, to the left of the UK is the US, and then to the right of the UK is Australia. So, like, if you think that the world's curved, then Australia and the US aren't far apart. Bear in mind, guys, that geography has always been my worst subject, and I thought that. What did I think that was really stupid? I thought Lagos was in Greece and it's in Africa, I think. I'm so bad. Rachel said, what secret chat? I'm using my phone as my camera, so I can't right now, but I will later. Oh, good luck with your interview, Rachel, and I will Insta DM you later on. So, I think I'm going to wrap this up, guys, because it was only supposed to be an hour, and we've nearly been here for 2. But I want to thank everybody for coming, because honestly, like, I was so paranoid. I don't know who has been here since the beginning, but I was absolutely terrified when I started this live chat, because I couldn't do it. Like, I was struggling to set it up. Oh, Ali, hi. I'm sorry that we're leaving now. You can ask me a question before we go if you want, because I'm sorry you missed it too. I love you. But yeah, like I was really struggling to set up the live show, and I was just like in a mad panic, and it was hard. Like, LA is at the. You would fly to the left, so you fly like over the UK, or you fly like. I'm even more confused now. Oh, you can see me like squinting at the camera. Oh, so you go like further across Australia and then the other way. Okay, right. Yeah, because I thought you would, but I've never seen like a world map that shows actually how far away Australia and the US are. Oh yeah, okay. So like from the UK, you go like straight to New York. New York's only like 5 hours away flying, which is like a lot closer than you would think. But anyway, distracted by flying questions. Thank you everybody who came, and I love you all, because I really did think that nobody was going to turn up. So I'm gonna no problem, Anna, and thank you very much. But yeah, I'm gonna go. Thank you for everybody who came. I can't believe I've been here for 2 hours, because 10 minutes in I was scared I wouldn't be able to talk for like half an hour. Thanks, Mary Beth. So yeah, I'm gonna go. I've said it a million times, but thank you so much for coming, and I love you all. Bye.